Okay, welcome back to Solo Roll Mangging. Shattered Obelisk, Tales of Argosa. We've got two characters that seem to be pretty solid at this point. Felina and Harris, War Dancer and Star Mage. Now, is that a balance issue? That my two custom classes are surviving where others did not? Maybe. Maybe. I'm still not. I wouldn't really think Felina's overpowered in any way, really. I mean, yeah, she gets to use Dex for attack rolls and damage instead of strength. But I mean, if she had 16 strength and 9 Dex, you know, her AC would be worse, but then she would easily be able to have heavier armor. She'd probably still be around AC 14 with like chainmail or something. So then she's really just kind of an alternate fighter. Granted, her initiative is insane. Now, I will say that's really good, but compared to a fighter, she doesn't crit on a 19, and she doesn't get adaptable. And her attack bonus is not quite as good. So there's that. And she also can't use two-handed weapons. In exchange, she gets some flow abilities, which could be good. Could be something. Distracting Dance could be something. I mean, really, these are kind of just like sort of major exploits that are kind of written out, you know? Honestly, like Whirling Death is kind of a major exploit, except really good, you know, because it's a dex check to deal out damage to everything near you. Harris, on the other hand, yeah, okay. If someone said that seems kind of overpowered, I wouldn't be shocked if they told me that. But I don't know. It's just another form of wizard, kind of. I mean, the Artificer at level 2 gets Troubleshooter that can literally just solve any problem presented as long as he explains how he can make something to solve the problem. That's pretty powerful. I think that's pretty powerful. Here, at least, I have to use my own creativity in how I apply my portals and stuff. So it's hard to say. I mean, again, balance is not really a concern too much as long as everyone at the table is having fun. And I am. So, problem solved. Anyways. We're level 2 now. We finished up in Phandelver, we did a long rest, blah, blah, blah. And now we're going to tackle one more side quest. And that is the Ruins of Thunder Tree. And the reason that we would come here specifically is, I believe we're sent to go check out the Druid? Someone sends you here. Fuck, something leads you towards Thunder Tree. I don't know what exactly. Trying to think of how I sent my family. Oh, here. Colleen of Alderley Farm. She suggests the characters visit Radoff, the Druid, since there's not an inch of the land the Druid doesn't know. He recently set out for the ruins of a town called Thunder Tree just west of the Neverwinter Wood. Ruins are about 50 miles northwest of Phandelver, and Colleen provides directions so the characters can easily find the place. If the party pursues this quest, see Ruins of Thunder Tree. Right. That is not how I set it up for my family. I was a little bit more overt about things. Basically saying that this druid went there to, like, you know, cleanse the area of Thunder Tree because there's a dragon there, and they haven't heard from him in a while, so please go check him out, and blah, blah, blah. And so we'll sort of... Yeah, I mean, we're going to Thunder Tree and our reason for being there doesn't matter too much because we're just kind of treating it like a dungeon for the most part. There might be some loot in the ruins of Thunder Tree. That's why we're going. Right. So we bought a donkey and we've loaded our donkey up with goodies. So that's good. And that's all good. So we have 2 weeks of food on the donkey, and then each of us are holding a week of food. So we've got plenty of food. This trip is going to take, based on our new formula of 3 hexes per day on normal terrain, 4 hexes per day along a road, and 2 hexes per day in sort of any kind of difficult terrain. I would say mountains, like the high mountains, that's probably you're looking at 1 hex a day or something. That's really difficult. Or like an especially rough bog or something maybe is 1 hex. But yeah, most forests, hills, deserts, badlands, what have you, it's probably going to be 2 hexes a day. So based on that, based on us traversing this road, and I think it's best to follow the road close to Neverwinter, and then maybe breaking off here to go there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And then we can get here, and then 1, 2, 3. So you're looking at like kind of a lengthy journey here, man. Probably 4 days or something to get there. And then 4 days to get back. It's not a short trip. Although, that seems kind of ridiculous because... Let me look at the original map. Maybe I don't like that positioning. Although it says 50 miles. Here, hold on. $50 miles. 1 hex is 5 miles. Oh. 1, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. It's more like 60 miles if you ask me, but give or take. And we're traveling about 18 miles a day on normal roads. We are kind of going off. I don't know. I don't think it would be faster to skirt along the woods. Let's see. We'd get maybe about here or so. First day, 1, 2, 3. Second day, third day. I guess maybe it is faster to not go out our way along the road, but it is riskier to not be on the road. Nah, we'll play it safe. We'll play it safe. We'll play it safe. And this session, at least, instead of using the OSC encounter tables, which I enjoy, we're going to use something much more modern and refined, and we're actually going to use the axe tables. This one specifically. So I would say along the road here, we're pretty much on... I'd be hard-pressed to say this isn't civilized road, but the Tribor Trail section, at least, is Borderlands road, because there is a possible of monster encounters and stuff. Due to, you know, there was a goblin ambush on the Tribor Trail, so that has to be a possibility. You could count it as Outlands road, but I don't know. This is Borderlands at best. Yeah, okay. So we'll set out. Now, if I really wanted to go whole hog here, we would also determine the weather based on the climate, which I'm pretty sure is just grassland steppe. I don't know how hot the summer gets around here, but probably hot, I would guess. So this is a DWA, as the kids say. And then for our DWA, this is your modifiers for the season. So this is spring, springtime's usually the best time for adventuring. So during the day, +1 temperature, and precipitation is going to be at -4. And then here we would roll on our daily weather table, and this is a 2d6 roll. So this is yeah, so during the day then +1. So we're going to be rolling on this second column, and that would be 2d6. Again, you'd really never want to do this during the game. So we got a 6. So it's a balmy day, 68 to 71. Pretty nice. And then we'd roll precipitation. Same thing, 2d6, but this is -4. So it's a 3. So it's clear weather. Pretty simple. And then the weather, of which there's no modifiers, a 7, which is, average. So it's a moderate wind, balmy day, clear skies. It's a nice spring day. Yeah, It allows for the possibility that, suddenly the weather might take a turn for the worse or something, or it's raining. In this climate, you're not really going to get much. You're not really going to get much. So it does say that if the temperature is cold or frigid, which they put in bold here, then rainy becomes snowy. And drizzly would become flurries. If the wind is still, drizzly precipitation creates misty conditions, which have no game effect, and rainy precipitation creates foggy conditions, which do. Because that affects visibility. So, yeah. Rain plus still wind equals fog. And all the bold ones here basically have mechanical effects in acts. So that's frigid, foggy, muddy, snowy, sweltering, flurry, foggy, rainy, snowy, sunbaked, stormy, windy. Those all can have different things, and so on and so forth. I love acts. Every time I look at acts, there's always something new I find. It's just like, oh my god, I can't believe there's a rule for this, and it's great. But there's so many things just like I would never really utilize this in an actual game. So what would be better is to just find like a weather like generator or something like that can just generate for a whole month or something based on your region. And I know that somewhere that exists. Here's, I guess Don John has a random weather generator, temperate, and you can set the season to be spring, and it can just generate. And you can have it generate supernatural weather if you want, but otherwise, it'll just, you click a button and it tells you clear, moderate temperatures, high of 54, low of 36. That doesn't sound moderate, dude. I guess it's warm climate, I suppose. Cloudy, high of 82, light wind, 2 miles per hour. Yeah, stuff like that. I feel like these temperatures for spring temperate are kind of cold. Across the board, like the average is like 45 degrees. That's pretty cold. Interesting. I don't know if that's... But I don't remember the site or something, but there's definitely a site where I saw it generates like a whole year for you or something. I don't know. I'd have to look, and I'm not going to do that right now. And we're not going to worry about weather, but as always, I do want to incorporate weather more. So I just need to... I need to find that generator. Like, I wish Axe just had, like, a digital version of this generator that I could just... I mean, Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look on the Discord or something, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of different apps, apparently, and sites. Could help. But yeah, if I could just have a program that just uses these climates, these weather modifiers, this weather table daily, and could just generate like a month worth based on which of these climates I pick, that would be really handy. And probably I could just punch all that into like Chat GPT and it could whip it up for me pretty easily. It's not quite an elegant solution, but it probably would work. Yeah, maybe. If in lieu of something else, I might do that. For our purposes, though, we don't care too much. So we'll just assume we get an unusual run of good weather. All right, so we set out. So our first day, then, roughly calculating here, we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we get to this bend in the road. So we're going to be on the Tribor Trail for one whole trip. And we will just roll once. I'm pretty sure Axe advises you to only roll once per day per travel. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You check for once a day if the party will be hunting or resting in unsettled territory. So that's like if that's what they're doing that day. But if they're traveling, then you are going to roll every time they enter a new hex. And so that means that we would roll 4 times this day. And they would all be these civilized or Borderlands plus a road, because we're in a Borderlands with a road. And so you'd roll this, and it's not a d6, it's a d20 roll. If you roll a 2 through 10, there's no encounter for that hex. If you roll 11 through 17, there's going to be a civilized encounter. 18 monster, 19 dangerous terrain, 20 valuable terrain. That means that no encounter is obviously the most likely. But there's a very good chance that you will get a civilized encounter, which is, depending on the terrain here, as you can see in this big table, that's going to be stuff like herd animals, which we've already seen before. This is going to be commoners, farmers, commoners, shepherds, merchants, patrollers, pilgrims. There is a possibility of bandits and brigands. And then a slim chance of a devil boar, which I had to look up in the monster manual. It's basically a massively obese dude who can turn into a similarly huge boar. And he doesn't care about anything except like eating people and butchering them and stuff. So it's almost certainly going to be a hostile encounter. And it's kind of weird to just have... Like, there's always a 5% chance every time you're walking 6 miles on a road. There's just a chance you can encounter a devil boar. That's specifically in grassland, scrubland, rivers, but that is most common of where you're going to kind of be walking from place to place. So, yeah, always the chance there's a devil boar, but I think it's relatively easy to swap that out with something different. The thing is, I guess they put that because it is these, all the ones here: devil boar, were tigers, were bears, rare rats, desert ghoul. These are kind of humanoid enemies rather than just you encounter a dragon. So yeah, you're not going to encounter goblins or something from a civilized encounter, but in the Borderlands it is possible for you to encounter monsters. And so then you'd be rolling on this table, which obviously has a massive variety of monsters on it, so on and so forth. And the thing is, and I was looking up some discussion about this and stuff like that. I think it's in the Discord. And what this means is that when you're traveling along a road like this, you're going to be rolling one of these encounters every hex. And so that's 4 of these rolls every day along a road. And a good number of those are going to be farmers, merchants, patrollers, sheep, things like that. And you're not going to like stop the game constantly, you know, and be like, okay, hey, coming your way is a group of 6 farmers. What do you do? You're not really going to do that because that's ridiculous. But it's more going to be like, okay, at the end of the day, assuming you didn't roll a devil boar or brigands or something, it's probably going to be more like, okay, you encountered, like 7 farmers walking past, a couple merchants, you saw a herd of sheep, and, if the players wanted to do anything, it's like, okay, well, let's rewind time then. You see the farmers. What are you doing? But most of the time, it's just going to be, okay, yeah, we saw some farmers and we saw some sheep and blah, blah, blah. And why that's important, something that I think would not come up in like D&D 5th edition or something, or, a lot of modern RPGs, is because if you do this where they're going along civilized areas and they're traveling from town to town and they see a lot of farmers and sheep and merchants and so on and so forth, that means that they can very clearly see when they step out of sort of civilized territory, and there's like a tonal shift now, and you're not seeing farmers walk by and you're not seeing merchants. You're seeing maybe more rougher looking folk, or you're starting to encounter a lot more wild creatures, or even like hostile, like goblins and bugbears and stuff like that. You have left the civilized realm, and it's very obvious to you. The second thing is, because if you never mention, while they're traveling through all this stuff, you never mention that they see farmers and they see shepherds and they see merchants, that means that when you finally do mention that, hey, there's a shepherd walking down the road, they're like, oh, fuck, who's this shepherd? Oh, my God, we got to kill him. It's like, it's obviously a plot point because you've never mentioned a shepherd before, ever. Whereas, here it's like, okay, there's always going to be shepherds, there's always going to be farmers, so on and so forth. But then maybe, there is something special about them, or the players make something special out of them themselves, rather than just being, you finally mentioned a shepherd, so there's gotta be something special to it. So it's obviously a realistic element to the game, but it's one that I think is relatively important, actually. And I haven't been doing that, but after I read that discussion in the Discord, I was like, it makes a lot of sense. It really does, and I should incorporate that. And other people talked about how they actually will pre-roll all their random encounters for like a session or something like that, rather than rolling it as the group moves. I don't know exactly how you do that. But I guess it doesn't really matter that much where they're going. You'd roll like, okay, if they travel along a Borderlands road in a grassland region, let me just do like 6 roll or 20 rolls or something and just see what I get. And then I can just look back to that and we'll tick down the list as we go or something. I don't know exactly how they do it, but yeah, it's hard to say. I do struggle with rolling stuff during a session because I always want to just move things along. But I also struggle with prep, so it's hard to say. Oh, here. When the adventurers are hex crawling, you'll be making 1 encounter throw per hex they enter. In such cases, it often makes sense to predetermine the result of a number of encounter throws before the session and put them into a numbered sequence. Oh, there you go. As the adventurers travel across the hexes and trigger encounter throws, you can just check off an encounter throw from your sequence. We use this method in our home games to speed play. Again, another very good thing that I would like to just have a generator based on these tables. I gotta just upload this entire rulebook to ChatGPT, and just please make 8 generators for me to do all these different things. But all right, so yeah, let's do our first day of travel then. So we're gonna be rolling 4 d20s on the Borderlands plus Road table. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got a 4, 7, 1, which are all gonna be no encounters, but we did get a civilized encounter. So we will roll a d100 on this other table. We got a 60, which is going to be a merchant. So pretty typical, you know, a merchant heading to Phandelver probably. He might have a small entourage with him. Or he might not be, you know, some fancy merchant. He might just be more of a farmer kind of... No, he's not a farmer, I suppose. But he might be a liaison of some kind. That he might be a smaller scale merchant that just has, like, his family or something. He might not have, like, 3 armed guards with him. So, but this is dangerous territory, and going to Phandelver is never a guaranteed risk. So on and so forth. So I guess how this would go is basically, yeah, we'd say, okay, you guys, you know, you traveled your 24 miles along the road, and it was a very pleasant, beautiful day, and you mostly encountered nothing, but you did encounter, around, I don't know, 4 p.m. or something, a merchant in his carriage. He seems to be traveling with his wife and a couple kids, and they, you know, wave to you as you walk past. And then if the players did want to say, like, hey, we want to do something with that, it's like, okay, well, go ahead. I think, you know, if you roll like something that's going to be obviously more of an encounter than that, like brigands, then it's like, okay, well, we kind of have to zoom in on that. But yeah, you basically, you roll for the whole day, or even better, you roll ahead of time before the session and then just tick it down. It's like, okay, well, you traveled 4 hexes, so at the 3rd hex you encounter brigands and blah blah blah. We don't really want to do anything with the merchant, I would imagine, because it sounds like he does not peddling in magical wares or something. He's peddling in probably grain and ale and stuff, and we're good. So let me get a there we go. There's our general position on the map. All right, and that was our first day. So ration goes by, and a ration goes by. And I'm not saying that this style and everything that Axe has to offer and all that, I'm not saying it's the end all be all for RPGs, because I know a lot of people like modern D&D and stuff like that. They like the heroic superhero fantasy. They don't want to worry about rations, and they don't want to worry about travel times across the country and the weather that can occur, and, you know, all these different random encounters that might happen and blah blah blah. You know, they just want to kick down doors and throw some dice and kill some stuff with their buddies and blah blah blah. That's fine. But yeah, for me, this is definitely more the direction that I've been leaning to over the last few years. So I'm really glad to have discovered Tales of Argosa and Shadowdark and Axe, of course, which is just a treasure trove of mechanics and rules and stuff. Okay, then we have to roll our encounter for overnight. So, if resting at night in Borderlands, Outland, or unsettled territory, roll to see if any random encounters will occur that night. And then you roll a d12 if an encounter does occur to determine the hour of its occurrence. So, we technically are sort of in the Borderlands. I'm counting the main road leading to Neverwinter as being civilized. But, yeah, I guess civilized encounters could happen at night. I just think it's kind of unlikely. Most don't travel at night. But, you know, they could be pulling up to a stop here on the bend as well. So we'll roll a d20 for the night. And we got a 12, which is going to be a civilized encounter. So let's see who we encounter. 73 is going to be another merchant. Okay. And, you know, maybe they are parking their wagon near us, stop on the way to Phandelver, and maybe we share some drinks together. All is well. I don't think necessarily every merchant is like a good old boy. But most merchants are not going to be in the business of just attacking 2 travelers that are already armed. That's bad for business. So, yeah. Okay, next day. So we're going to be continuing north along the road. This is now a civilized area, which means that all we can really encounter is civilized encounters. So there's not going to be much here unless we encounter bandits, which is a possibility, of course. But we're going to be going 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to end here. And we're going to roll 4d20s. 10, 1, 4, 15. I think that's one. Yeah, one civilized encounter we got. It's not an incredibly well-used road. It's also a very long road. I mean, this is many miles. So we got an 80, which is a patroller, medium cavalry. And we probably can see here how many appear in a group here. So a patrol... Well, it says a wilderness encounter is a band of 1d10 patrols, but that seems kind of pig. So I think we probably just use the dungeon encounter of 2d4 patrollers. So we could just say, all right, and there's 6 cavalrymen on patrol here along Neverwinter Road. And they certainly are going to give us an eyeful, but, you know, we have broken no laws, and there's only 2 of us, so how much trouble could we possibly get up to? So I don't think there's much you could do there. You could roll a reaction roll to see if they're in especially foul mood or they're especially kind of corrupt, and maybe they're just trying to bilk people out of some money or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could. There's a group of 6 of them, and most people are not going to be able to stop that. So I guess I could roll a 2d6 reaction roll. We got an 8. Okay, that's pretty neutral, so we'll say they're a fairly normal patrol. It's just doing their job, keeping order along this nice, safe road. Fuck the Tribor Trail, of course. Nobody gives a shit about that, but yes, all is well and orderly. Even though this town down here, I don't know what the lore is with it, but it's a ruin? Leylon? It was abandoned following the Spell Plague, but was rebuilt and resettled in the late 15th century. Okay. How am I supposed to know what year this takes place in? Or does that not really matter? Is Leylon ever meant? No, it's not ever mentioned. It's there, it exists. It's apparently got a population of like 200 at this point. Assuming it's been rebuilt. This has nothing to do with anything. But, yeah, alright. We're assuming there's a patrol here. Okay, so that was the whole day. Nothing too exciting. And we don't roll a nighttime encounter, because now we're in civilized territory. I think there's an argument to be made that it isn't civilized territory. And this is all kind of just pure borderlands. I think there's an argument to be made for that. But we will just play it nice for now. It's because we want to get to Thunder Trees, so we won't hold this up too much. Alright, 3rd day. 1, 2, 3. And then, yeah, we'd basically get to the outskirts of this X, like right there. So we will, yeah, like right there. So we'll pretty much just roll 3. Okay, we got 14 and an 18, which means that we're looking at 2 civilized encounters. 46 is going to be farmers, and 14 is going to be some goats. That's it. Pretty simple. We're still in this hex. I'm still going to count it as civilized, so we're not going to roll for an encounter tonight either. The ration ticked down. And new day. Now we're going to go 1, 2, 3, basically. Yeah, we'll get pretty far along on this hex. Close to the 4. We see Thunder Tree, but it's getting pretty dark, so we'll chill here. Now I have to roll 3 of these, and I am going to count these as Borderlands. Straight up Borderlands. Or I could count it as Civilized by itself, but I think we're going to go Borderlands here. So, still possibility for civilized encounters out here, farmland and things like that, but definitely chance for some more interesting stuff. So 3 of these. 2, 3, 17, 15, and a 6. So the 6 is nothing. The 17 is a dangerous terrain encounter. 15 is monsters. Okay, so first thing is going to be dangerous terrain. And we gotta go scroll all the way down. Dangerous terrain. We roll a d12 on that. That's a 3. Enshrouding terrain. Enters terrain that makes it very difficult to see what is going on, such as a deep valley surrounded on all sides by forest. Maximum visibility distance and encounter distance are had within the enshrouding terrain. Well, I don't think that's much to talk about. Yeah, I think that's basically nothing. And I don't think I would really have mentioned any of that to players. I would have rolled the dangerous terrain, I would have rolled that, and I would have seen that and been like, okay. Maybe I would have described that they passed through, like, a deep valley that was kind of, like, had a lot of trees on both sides. They passed through kind of a ravine or something like that. It wasn't, like, hazardous terrain or anything, but it could have been a spot for maybe an ambush. Possibly. Because I would want to mention it because maybe they would remember then, like, if they when we needed to set an ambush or something, that place exists in this area, sort of shortly off the road. How likely would that ever come up? I don't know, but it exists, you know? Okay, but then when, in this X right here, we are going to have to roll a monster encounter, which might not be anything to talk about, but this is grassland, so visibility is pretty far. I didn't roll weather, but... Okay, so then we're going to have to roll the rarity. We're in the Borderlands, so we're going to roll another d20 roll for this. It's a 9, which is common. So we're going to go to the grassland, farming land, prairie, common table, and roll a d100. Got a 92, so we got giant weasel. Then we can head over to here and look at the... It's probably going to be under weasel. Varmint giant weasel. There it is. Look at how cute it is. Except it's 9 feet long and weighs around 2,000 pounds. Jesus. It can drain your blood. And they give a sample encounter that you might be able to use for these creatures. So it talks about the complex burrow, consisting of 3 to 8 feet diameter tunnels that intersect at feeding chambers, nests, toilets, and food storage chambers, each about 15 foot to 20 foot square. Total of 7 exits lead from the burrow to the surface. Visible from the surface is kickouts of excavated soil and freshly cut shrubs. Burrows are home to a sneak of 3 giant weasels, along with their offspring, 2 juveniles, and 1 baby. This is the other thing that I just love about Axe in the Monster Manual is you get the spoils that you can harvest from these creatures. So that you can harvest their teeth, and it tells you their weight and their value, or their whiskers. And then it also tells you what like magical elements those might be able to be used for. So like if you want to make a potion or a scroll or something like that, you have to get these materials from these creatures. So it's like, okay, if you want to make cause light injury scrolls, you got to get some giant weasel teeth. I mean, there's going to be other things that give it, sure, but if you get some giant weasel teeth, you can get that. And you can see, like, they're expensive. 115 gold for their teeth. But if you kill giant weasels, you can harvest their teeth and their whiskers and sell this for a decent amount of gold. You can also skin their whole pelt, which will give you 115 gold. On top of that, they also provide you the values for for A, the untrained value of a giant weasel at baby, juvenile, or adult. So a baby giant weasel, untrained, is valued at 325 gold pieces. But if you train it to be a hunter, it's worth 1,160 gold. And then it also tells you the supply cost of a giant weasel if they're a part of your army. So that's how much you have to pay, like, per week or per month, I don't remember, in order to maintain the giant weasel in your army. It's just excellent. It's just excellent. And it also talks about the training period. So a training period for a giant weasel is 3 months, which means that if you get a baby giant weasel and you are trained in animal training, you can train one to be like a hunter in the course of 3 months. If you try to train an adult, it costs 6 times that amount of time. So training an adult giant weasel to be a tamed animal that is a hunter will take 18 months. And some of the training periods get pretty insane. Like, I think like the basilisks or something is like, I think that was 6 months, but the giant crocodile I know was even more. It was an insane amount. I just love it. I just love it so much. All right, so the wilderness encounter for this is a 1d6. So we would say that there's 6 giant weasels. What are they doing? Well, that's a good question. We obviously can roll a reaction roll, as always, to get their general mentality. So we rolled an 11, which is very positive. We're looking at some fairly friendly giant weasels that are not considering us a threat. We're not like near their young or anything like that. Probably they've already eaten or something like that. But as for what they're actually doing at this moment, there's a bunch of other reaction rolls you could do. I do like the Tales of Argosa one. So it's just a d6 for an other creature. Making or repairing a den, minding eggs or offspring, teaching young, gathering resources, keeping watch. So again, we can just say they're gathering up various sticks or something, or, you know, various resources to help build their den, and they're just kind of out in a pack, and they're definitely not treating us like a threat. They keep their distance, but I think if we tried to approach them with food or something, they probably would take it and be okay, you know, assuming we didn't make any real sudden hostile gestures or something. So yeah, just a pack of 6 giant weasels, and certainly not anything we want to fuck with, because let's see, they have a hit dice of 4 plus 4, so you're looking at like 22 health each. Armor class of 12. They bite for 2d4 damage, and they can deal an automatic 2d4 damage to a creature they clamp onto every round. Creatures that are having their blood drained by a giant weasel can still move, but count as carrying an extra 200 stone of encumbrance. Yeah, Jesus. It will continue to cling until either the creature dies or the weasel has been killed. That's it. There's like no other way to break it off. Like, they are sunk in. Pretty vicious. Yeah, we don't want to fuck with that. Okay, that was our little monster encounter. And then we encountered nothing as we close in on Thunder Tree. and we will spend the night. Now we are going to have to make another roll for the evening, and that's why we are keeping watch. Let's deduct our ration again. Okay, and then our nightly watch, we got an 11, which for this is going to be a civilized encounter, actually. Interesting. I don't know if I want to count this as forest yet, so we're still going to go with the grassland. Just roll a D100. We got 25. Just some sheep nearby, and we kind of hear them, and they're grazing's 100, 200 feet away or something. Not anything we really are going to bother with. Okay. A lot more interesting if we suddenly encounter a merchant out here in the middle of nowhere. Because, yeah, civilized encounters are possible up to, you know, being out in the outlands. So I don't know how exactly you explain that there's just farmers out there in the outlands, but it's possible. New day. And we head into Thunder Tree finally. So technically we'd have to roll a random encounter check on our way into this hex, and then we might actually have to spend some time moving within the hex to find Thunder Tree, because it's obviously not a 6 mile by 6 mile area. So I guess we'll follow the rules. This is still Borderlands. We're going to roll the D20. We got a 20, a unique terrain encounter right near the Thunder Tree ruins. I could just count that as being the Thunder Tree ruins, but I guess we'll roll a D12. 1. Complex map. The adventurers find a location that is in itself a treasure map. An example might look similar to Stonehenge. It can be difficult to decipher the map or even to learn that it is a map at all. If deciphered, it leads to a treasure. The treasure is 1 hex away per 1,000 gold piece value. You can use the average value and roll the actual contents of the treasure later. Roll 1d6 to determine the treasure type the map points to. Okay. 4. So it points to a treasure type Q, average value of 22,000 gold pieces. Stonehenge. Really? So we find some sort of structure or some sort of monument or something, and it's some type of map. That's a complicated one, isn't it? Like, you're suddenly asking me, and this is why you pre-roll, so that you, if this comes up, it's like, okay, boom, I got my complex map ready. And that's if they get a unique terrain encounter in the grasslands. Then it's like, okay, you're probably not going to have many of these loaded, because they have to be in the grasslands, they have to roll a 20, and then they have to roll a 1. You're not going to have many of those ready to go for any given session, you know? So probably just having one of these in mind, or, you know, in a notebook or something, and just like, oh shit, finally, I can use page 37 of my notebook. I have no idea. I think it's really cool, but this is not something I want to come up with on the spot, because I don't want to just hand them an easy 22,000 gold pieces. I'd love to look at the Discord, though, to see what people have to say about any examples they've used with that. Because I don't think it should just, I don't know, I don't think it should just lead to a dungeon. I don't think. I guess, like, what does a magic item cost, you know? So, like, a +2 thing, okay, there's gotta be just, maybe that's also in here in the treasure section. Well, we're really getting into things here. I'm just thinking, like, how much in Axe, for example, how much is a magic item? What is it valued at? Magic items. Probably got mentioned here. Okay, hold on. Interesting. Oh, okay. I see. Base cost here. So the base cost of a Ring of Beast Control, which can cast Dominate Beasts at 2nd level once per turn. That's base at 33,000 gold. A Ring of Fire Protection. There you go. So permanent energy protection 2nd level against fire. Reduces all fire damage by half. Receive a +2 bonus on associated saving throws. That's valued at 24,000 gold. So, okay, this complex treasure map really could just point to, like, a ring of fire protection that's buried somewhere nearby. That's basically it. 22,000 is not an insane amount in these kind of games. Because if you look at, like, a Ring of Wishes, which has 4 charges, that's 800,000 gold piece value. And that, my friends, is why you don't have magic shops, because this stuff just doesn't exist within the normal, economy or anything like that. No one is really buying or selling stuff. It gives these values as sort of a baseline for understanding giving out treasure, treasure hoards and stuff like that, and also for magic research, cost of creating stuff, things like that. But yeah, you're not going to be buying a Ring of Wishes anytime soon, and you shouldn't. Okay, so we'll skip the complex thing, and now we're going to go with finding Thunder Tree Ruins, which should be relatively easier than the Hidden Cave. Honestly, I would say a D6, like a 4 or 5 or 6, we probably find it per hour. Alternatively, you could just do everything in 4-hour blocks, which is kind of how travel is done, and then just say they find it in 4 hours. Axe does not do that, though. If you search the wild, each hour that the adventurer spends searching a hex, the judge makes a wilderness searching throw on their behalf. Target value for the throw is determined by the party's expedition speed, blah, blah, blah. If they succeed, they discover the dungeon entrance, lair, ruin, or other point of interest, if at least one is present. So our expedition movement would be 12 to 23, so that's a 17 plus on the roll. So every hour, DM would roll a d20. They get a 17 or higher, they find it, which is a 20% chance, which is higher than a 6 on a d6, but not by much. If any member of the party has tracking proficiency, you get a +4 bonus on the proficiency throw. So that would be a 13 or higher, which is 40% chance, I think. It's pretty good. It's not quite 4, 5, and 6, but it's pretty close. So I would say, to simplify it, we just assume that we're trackers, and we just do the 4, 5, or 6. And it says you trigger 1 random encounter roll per hour while searching. Which means that, unlike my system where you roll a d6 and if you roll a 1, you get 1, here you roll a random encounter every hour. And it might be nothing, but it's probably not going to be nothing. Axe definitely likes random encounters a lot. Which makes sense. There's a lot of wilderness out here. There's a lot of wildlife and all sorts of stuff, and we're actively just combing through it. Rather than making a beeline through the hex. So I can't really fault the rule. It's just a lot of random encounters. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good. I mean, obviously, the benefit of the axe system here is that it's increased. Your chances are increased tremendously if you can move a lot faster. Like if you have horses, or if you have some sort of flying mount, or you can fly, or something like that, the faster you can move, the more faster you're going to find it. It makes a lot of sense. Whereas just dropping it to a 4, 5, or 6 on a d6 doesn't take much of that else into account. And there are special rules for if you can do aerial reconnaissance and stuff. So then you get a you roll every 30 minutes instead of every hour. But if you're searching forest, jungle, or swamp terrain, you get a -8 penalty to your throw due to the canopy of foliage. Damn realism. You can also split up if you want, and then each sub-party gets to make a roll, but then they each have to roll for their own random encounters and can't help each other with the encounter. So, you know... Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just do, we'll make it a 50-50, 4, 5, or 6, and it's because I'll be slightly generous to myself. But I will roll a random encounter every hour, I suppose. So, first hour. We roll a 1. We do not find it yet. It is a big thing, sort of. If we go here to Thunder Tree, it's not that huge, but I don't know. I feel like it would be kind of visible. 6 miles, though, is kind of big. And this is literally like a couple hundred feet by a couple hundred feet. So, it's hard to say. It's why I'm being kind of generous, but yeah, I don't know if I would really make... If I was DMing, I don't know if I'd really make them search for it, because I feel like I'd hear a lot of arguments. But we'll roll the random encounter here. We got a 14. Now I have to go back to that section. We're in the Borderlands. A 14 is going to be a monster encounter, so we will roll that D100. 66. Oh, I also have to roll for the rarity, which is another D20. 16 Borderlands is going to be uncommon 66. Uncommon 66 is a small rock. Or multiple small rocks. Probably multiple small rocks. We encounter 1d12 of them. 10 small rocks. They still weigh around 800 pounds. They are clever and long-lived, and they often speak both common and classical Orin, as well as their own screeching tongue. So they're sapient creatures. And they're inherently lawful. Huh. Okay. So that's definitely not what I thought they were. A trained small rock is valued at 65,000 gold as a sapient war mount. Yeah, that is pretty baller. Okay. I don't think that's really... They're not just going to attack us then. And they're probably just traveling. Because they mostly live in forests and mountains. So I think they're traveling for some purpose. Alright. Interesting, but not much of an encounter for us. Okay. This is our second hour of searching, and we got a 3, so we still haven't found it. We got a 10 now, which is going to be a non-encounter? Civilized encounter. Okay, now we really have to stretch our imagination to explain this one. 15. Okay, we don't. It's just a herd of goats passing by us. We see them as we continue to search for this damn ruin. I don't even know. Oh, it's pretty early. It's like 11 now. So third roll. Still haven't found it. And again, dropping things down to chance is like, eventually you'll fucking find it. How could you not? All right, that's no encounter. This one, I feel like we just find it. I don't even know if I need to roll. I'm ignoring it. We find it. 4 hours. That's way too long to find a ruined town. We're how long into this video? An hour. It took us an hour just to get to Thunder Tree. Yeah. Whereas most D&D would just be like, okay, you're at Thunder Tree. What do you do? But it's not the same. Okay. So we're going to be, what do they say? 30 years ago, the eruption of Mount Hotanau to the north devastated Thunder Tree. In the wake of the natural disaster, a plague of strange zombies swept over the area, killing or driving off those who survived the eruption. Though most of the zombies have long since crumbled to dust, strange magic permeating the area has mutated the local vegetation into new and dangerous forms. Few people dare to venture into the ruined village now, and those who do seldom stay long, with 2 notable exceptions. The druid Radoth visits Thunder Tree from time to time, keeping a wary eye on its dangers. Some cultists also arrived recently to treat with a dragon that claims Thunder Tree as its domain. Alright, gradually the trail becomes an old, overgrown lane winding between dilapidated buildings choked with vines and brush. In the middle of the settlement rises a steep hill upon which stands a stone tower with a partially collapsed roof and an adjoining cottage. A dirt road hugs the base of the hill and wends its way between old stone houses, many of which are roofless ruins. Other buildings appear intact. The whole place is eerily silent. A wooden sign is nailed to a post nearby. It reads, "Danger! Plant monsters and zombies. Turn back now." How very ominous. It doesn't sound great, but it's been a pretty relaxing journey to get here, so we're feeling prepped. Okay, so a bunch of these buildings are ruined. Just empty shells with stone walls. No roofs. Trees average 30 to 40 feet tall and provide cover. Brush consists of sprawling bushes that count as difficult terrain, which is, half movement and all that. All right, so I think we're coming in from the west. Probably. The numbering seems to imply that we came in from the west. But we really could come in from any direction, including from the south. So I think I threw my party in from the west when I DM'd, because it started at number 1. But let's come in from the south this time, near number 4 and 5. And let's... Oh, you don't have a... There it is. Okay, so we got the pop-out map. Radoth is a woman? I definitely didn't DM that. I was definitely a man when I did it. Zoom out. Small. Okay, so we have a intact building coming up on our left, and we can see that. This small house is in better condition than the dilapidated structures nearby. The doors are reinforced with heavy iron bands, and thick shutters protect the windows. Whereas the one on our right is a ruin that looks as if it might have once been a farmhouse. It's now half swallowed by a dense thicket with trees growing through its foundations. The lane continues south a short distance past the ruin before ending in an overgrown field. Yeah, see, they very much assume you came in from the west. Otherwise, it wouldn't say that. And, it shouldn't say that, really. It shouldn't assume it. The thicket east of this ruin is crawling with 12 twig blights and 2 needle blights. Any disturbance in the ruined farmhouse, for example, characters rooting around in the rubble, draws the blight's ire. 12 twig blights. Granted, they're pretty big pushovers. 20 feet speed, 7 HP, 14 AC, and but they do 1d4 plus 2 damage and a plus 4 attack roll, so they can hurt you, and there's 12 of them. The Needle Blights are more formidable. They're actually medium size, 30 feet speed, 16 HP. You can shoot needles for 2d4 plus 1 damage. Obviously, we're not using any of these stats, but fact remains, no matter what, if I want to run this as is, there's 12 Twig Blights. Even if they all just roll plus 0 attacks that do 1 damage, that's still pretty painful. Does Axe do any swarms? Yes, it does do swarms. Creature engulfed by a bat swarm must make a paralysis saving throw at the end of its initiative. If the save fails, the creature suffers 1d6 damage and is mad as the spell Incite Madness on its next initiative. If on its initiative, the engulfed creature uses its movement action to flee from the swarm at least 20 feet, or uses its combat action to ward off the swarm with a torture weapon, it gains a plus 4 bonus on its saving throw. Warding off a bat swarm with a torture weapon deals 1d4 damage to the swarm. Engulf condition ends when it starts its initiative outside the area of the swarm. Bat swarms are immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage except when dealt by creatures warding off the bats. The bat swarm cannot be directly attacked as a target. Okay, it's a decent way to run it. So it's got technically an AC of 12, hit dice of 2 to 4, and then, yeah, mad as the spell Incite Madness. So on your initiative, if you're mad, you roll 2d6 on this table. On a 2 to 5, you attack the caster or allies with melee or ranged weapons, or move closer if attack's not possible. On a 6 to 8, you do nothing but babble incoherently, so that's the most common result that's going to happen. And 9 to 12, you attack the creature's own party, if any. It's a level 3 arcane spell, and a bat swarm can just do that by engulfing your ass. That's specifically a bat swarm, though. A insect swarm, if you're engulfed by them, you suffer 2 damage or 4 damage if you're unarmored and has a natural AC of 3 or less. Damage is dealt to the engulfed creature at the end of its initiative. If on its initiative, the engulfed creature uses movement action to flee from the swarm at least 20 feet, blah, 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 blah. It reduces damage suffers from the swarm by half. Obviously, torches are the answer there. Engulfed condition ends when the creature starts its initiative outside the area of the swarm. And when the engulfed condition ends, you become vexed by bites from lingering insects, suffering 1 damage or 2 if you're unarmored and have a natural AC of 3 or less at the end of its initiative each round. The vexed condition ends immediately if the creature becomes engulfed or submerges itself in a body of water. Otherwise, it ends after 3 rounds. Very interesting. And then the rat swarm. If you're engulfed, you make paralysis saving throw at the end of your initiative. If you fail, you take 1d6 damage and are knocked prone. If you succeed, you take half damage and keep your footing. If you flee at least 20 feet or warded off, blah, 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 you get plus 4 bonus on its saving throw. Warding off a rat swarm with a torch or weapon also deals 1d4 damage to the swarm. You don't become vexed. But creatures damaged by a rat swarm have 10% chance of being exposed to disease. Roll 1d100 on the disease table. They are immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage except when dealt by creatures warding off the rat. Okay, so we could run it as a swarm, which is meant to be, obviously, a lot. You know, it's meant to be far more than 12. Or you could just run it as 12 individual creatures, but I don't know. What do we think, like, the weakest fucking... I assume they... There's all the encounter tables again, which is handy. Yeah, less than 1 hit dice monster. So just a bat, a common bat, or a small raptor. Oh, it's a bird. I definitely was thinking of a velociraptor, but sure. So they have 1d2 HP. They have an armor class of 13. They attack twice for 1 damage each. You could just throw 12 of these in there and call it a day, you know? Yeah, or just a common bat. Being basically the weakest thing in the game that's still treated as a monster. So 13 AC, 1 HP, 1 bite attack. That does 1 damage. I guess honestly that's probably how I would rule the Twig Blights. 1 HP, 13 AC, 1 damage. Pretty basic. But, you know, if I had... I think it's fine. Because if I had, like, 5 players, you know... 12 of them, there's still a bunch of them. They probably would be able to just treat it more as a basic encounter where they're just kind of cleaving them through. Whereas it's a little bit threatening to me, because there's only 2 of us. But yeah... I think it's kind of fun to just have a large number of enemies you can kind of slash through and kick down, which is sort of what this encounter is meant to be in 5th edition. Because pretty much any of them can do 7 damage with any attack. The Needle Blights, though, are definitely more significant creatures. We'd have to treat those to be something more like a 1-hit dice enemy. So more like 4 HP with +1 of their attacks, and they can attack with a claw or a ranged attack. Same damage, so probably just 1d6 on both. Okay. Because obviously we're going to be rummaging around this farmhouse. Why wouldn't we? I guess maybe if we thought about it, it's like, why would there be any treasure in a ruined building that's probably been picked over 10 years ago, you know? Okay, so yeah, I guess we'll go in and we'll start picking around. Let's actually see, we should have a map. We should have a scene of Thunder Tree during the day. There it be, the whole of Thunder Tree. And we can work with this now. So we've got Felina in there. And Harris. Okay, and we start poking among the rubble and searching around and blah, blah, blah. And it says that each round for 3 rounds, 2 of the Twig Blights head for the south doorway, while 2 more head for the north doorway. The Needle Blights follow on round 3, each one moving toward a different doorway. The Blights are fearless and attack until destroyed. Okay. So, I guess, yeah, we'll be like here. And I think we should involve a perception check here. They do have plus, the Twig Blights have +4 on stealth. So we actually should roll a perception here and give them a decent dex. So we'll give them a dex of 14. And their collective stealth roll coming in, the first pack, is a -4. And we will roll our group perceptions of 11. Felina got a great success, and Harris got a success. So we definitely notice them both behind us and in front of us. Some very odd looking walking twig creatures coming in. So we will just Twig Blight, and we won't bother an image for this. Honestly, this is a little big. We also don't even need to roll or use a grid, to be honest. What are the odds I'm gonna find anything? I didn't want to make a new shit. I didn't want to do this. I mostly just wanted to find or make the token smaller. But I guess we can use some of this. Probably this. Sure, it'll work. Not quite the same thing. Twig Blade. And then type token, appearance. I don't know if they'll let me make a half, but we'll make a half. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. So they're coming in. And then we got 2 coming from behind. Okay. No one is surprised by anything, but we will roll initiative. Felina. Bang. Success. Okay. Well, she's just gonna step up and yeah, can we turn off the grid? I know we don't need grids. We don't need grids where we're going. Thank you. She steps up. And she's just gonna swing. She's got her weapons at the ready, and she's not having it. Swinging that mace on this little piece of shit. Again, AC of 13 is what we're saying. Miss. It is a little too small and dodgy for her, and her mace smashes into the ground. But she's got a sword at disadvantage. Fumble. Okay, it's gonna roll +0. Miss. Okay, so she did not have a great first round against the little bastards, and Harris is staring down his own little troublesome. He could use a sling, I suppose. He has better odds of hitting him. He sure does. But, nah, he'll move up, and he's gonna try to stab one with a spear. 2 hands. Miss. Okay. Nothing to say about that. Alright, that's their turn. So now these are both gonna move in. And they're both gonna get +1 because they're kind of doing a little flanking here. So for Felina, oh, one of them did fumble. She will immediately counterattack, destroying it. That's what you get. The other one missed against Harris. One of them does hit for 1 damage. Ah! Okay. New round. Start of the round, 2 more are going to appear. We are not handling AoE too well. Well, this is where we get kind of the bad part of using a grid, and I really shouldn't, but it's just like, it's a visual because we're doing this on video, rather than me just narrating everything. We at least have a visual here, but yeah, normally I wouldn't really set this up to be a visual because, again, as always, I find that having the visual here sort of hampers your creativity and hampers like your decision making because you're not thinking from like a narrative theatrical point of view. You're thinking of like a board game. So like looking at this and looking at positioning, it's like, well, I can't really squeeze in there and do this and blah blah blah, but I don't want to think like that. And I want to think Felina's going to jump into the middle of this group and use Whirling Death. That's what I want to think. And that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to activate Flow. And use Flow. And now we're going to use Whirling Death. So now this is going to be her action. It's a Dex check. -2 for every enemy past the first one. So it's going to be a -4 on her Dex check. And if she succeeds, she will instantly kill all 3. She succeeds. So it's her weapon damage, but it doesn't matter. They only have 1 health, so they are dead. All right. Powerful? Yes, no doubt. Granted, a major exploit could do the same thing, and I probably would have had it be the same roll, but it would have been a luck Dex check instead of a Dex check. And that's a pretty big difference, because a Dex check is a lot easier than a luck Dex check. And also, Flow is easily recoverable after battles, whereas luck takes long rests to recover. Was she down? Did I not recover? I should have recovered 1. Yeah, she should be full. We've only done 1 major exploit, I think. Harris will... I mean, he's probably getting a little iffy about this, because they did already stab him with a twig. He could gravity pulse himself and like jump up and away from this onto the roof. I suppose. He would take an op. He would take a couple ops as he jumps up to the roof. But it's not a bad idea. Technically, there shouldn't be this much of a roof here. But I just want him to like jump up onto the stone kind of wall out of sight or out of reach of them, and then let Felina deal with it. All right, I guess we'll do that. I could also portal myself up there, but I have to roll the arcane for the portal. And then also there would be a portal open. So we don't want that. We're just going to gravity pulse jump up. So we're just going to use celestial alignments. We're going to use gravity pulse on myself. I'm going to jump. And this is going to be kind of an acrobatics check of Dex to see if I actually can fall where I want to, or if I can jump where I want to with low gravity. I'm not going to take falling damage no matter what, but I might end up like inside the building still, or on the outside of the wall or something, rather than landing right on the wall. So yeah, I'm going to make that requirement. But first they have to roll their ops. So they get 2 at +1. Both miss, so that's good. And then my acrobatics check of a Dex. I failed. Okay. It's not amazing, but it's not the end of the world. I do have to concentrate on gravity pulse. And that might slip if I get hit. Okay. Right. So let's just do a 4 or 5 or 6. I go on the north side, outside. 1, 2, or 3. I'm on the inside over here in the corner. Okay, 3. So I basically just jump over here, which didn't amount for much, but I still have Gravity Pulse active. So on the next turn, I could jump up. I didn't roll initiative, did I? No, I did the start of the round, and then I just went for it. So let's assume Okay, good. But now they get to go. And obviously, they're going to swarm this weird jumpy bastard. So this is where my concentration will probably fail, because now they're all going to roll and all get +2 on their rolls. So chances are I get hit at least once. Oh. Wow, double fumbles. Well, I get to make 2 counterattacks right away, so that's good. I kill 1. I kill 2. Holy shit. Harris, doing work. Okay, but the other 2 do hit me, so I take 2 more damage. And now I have to make concentration checks, which admittedly is not a thing in Tales of Argosa as far as I understand. I don't recall it mentioning concentration at all. No. So, because there aren't anything that requires, like, that's like a sustained buff. Or if there are sustained buffs, it's active. You know, you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, and I don't think any of the spells really do anything like that. So, I don't think it really exists. And I only put it in there because it was in the original playbook, but maybe I shouldn't bother. It's there. It exists. It's happening. It's going on. Yeah, it doesn't really exist. It definitely exists in Axe. I know that for a fact. There's loads of spells that are based on concentration, or they might actually say, like, you cannot, if you enter combat, like, it's done. Okay, it's actually like a duration thing here. Concentration can be sustained for up to 8 hours per day without penalty, blah, blah, blah. Condition is ended immediately if the creature takes damage or fails a saving throw, except a secret saving throw it isn't aware of. Also ended immediately if the creature attacks, casts a spell, moves more than 1/2 its combat movement distance during a round, or moves more than 1/2 its expedition speed during a day. So, yeah, practically anything involving combat, for the most part, will end concentration, but I think this is sort of bigger. There's also stationary concentration where you can't even move. You can't even move without breaking it. Very, very hefty requirement. Yeah, but it can last for 8 hours. So it's kind of big stuff. I don't and it's specifically anything that says concentration. Although here this says this is choking grip, and as long as the caster maintains concentration on a spell, a choking target must make another death saving throw. This is very much meant to be in combat during a combat round. So as long as you're in combat and you're not taking damage or doing any sort of attack or other spell or anything. So there is stuff that's not meant to be lasting 8 hours and is meant to be just round to round, assuming you don't take damage or, you know, get attacked or something. So where do we want to lean on this? Towards Tales of Argosa, where there's no such thing as concentration, or Axe, where taking any form of damage will break concentration. Should I just drop that from the requirement of the ability and it just doesn't matter? The reason why it's interesting in the Dungeon World original version is that when your concentration does break, it causes a sudden, very temporary reverse in the gravity. So if you're making something light and your concentration suddenly breaks, it will very temporarily become very heavy. Which has some fun implications. So that's why I kind of put it in there, but now that I get to the actual mechanics, it's like, do I really want this? Should I compromise and just make it an int check? Sort of like D&D? And if you fail the int check at that point, then you do break concentration? Or should I just drop it entirely? I lean towards dropping it entirely, to be honest. Because it is, like, sort of just a weird fringe thing that doesn't have any other place anywhere else in the game. Except for the fact that we are using axe spells. So it is going to come up for magic users that are using spells. But then it's a different form of concentration where you can't take any damage, which just seems so harsh to me for something like this. Because it only lasts 1 minute. And the axe spells are very specific, in that it can be concentrated on for up to 8 fucking hours. So since this is just a 1 minute thing, I'm going to treat it more like just a Tales of Argosa special ability, and we will just ignore the concentration part. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, that's it. New round then. Which means at the start of the round, this is the 3rd round, and we're going to get 2 more Twig Blights coming in. And 2 more Twig Blights here, so she's still kind of preoccupied. And then I think technically the Needle Blights are going to be coming in. Needle Blights follow on round 3. They follow on round 3. I don't know exactly how to interpret that. But we will make these bigger. Okay, so something like that. They see a one that's twice as big sort of coming around the bend here. All right, new initiative. This is Felina's initiative again. And obviously success. Eris is going to try again to jump up. So he's going to take 2 more ops. One of those is a hit, unfortunately. So he's down to 5 now. He's feeling he's getting stabbed by these twigs. And he's going to attempt his dex check again to jump up onto the... Okay, so now he did. So now he's up on the corner of the wall here. That was his movement. So now he's going to drop his spear, which is probably going to fall to the ground, but he's going to pull out his sling. And start shooting. Just shoot this thing right here. He misses wildly. He's never used a sling before in his life. Okay. Felina is going to just attack one of these little ones in front of her. No need to make this complicated. Alright, she kills one. She'll then attack with her offhand on the other one. Ooh, natural 19. Wait a minute, what the fuck did she rolled double 19s. Amazing. Amazing. Well, that's dead. She's feeling good about that. And then they get to go. So this thing's going to move in. These things are going to swarm her now as the viable target. And then this thing's going to try to shoot Harris. So it gets just a +1 on its roll. It's rolled a natural 19, which means that I'm going to roll, let's say, a D4 on the missile trauma. And also, I think we're rolling a D4 for damage. Oh, God, Harris might die here. He might jump away and leave Felina to her fate. Because they were also going to roll missile trauma. Just a D4, like very, very light missile trauma here. 1. Duck for cover. The target abandons their next action to hunker down behind cover and regain their composure. Yeah, okay. I think that's exactly what he's going to be doing then. Yeah, that makes the most sense. He's going to jump away onto this roof. Okay, then the Felina is going to be bombarded here. So all these are going to be rolling +2. This thing +3. Oh, I did say a D6. All right, I'm dropping it down to a D4. Apparently, I'll trust my heat of the moment decision there to make it a D4. So the big Y with a +3 fails. And then the 4 little ones with +2. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 1 hit for 1 damage to Felina. And she also gets to counterattack on 1. That is a miss, unfortunately. Okay, new round. Harris initiative. Success. He jumps away onto the roof. Let me, there you go. It's not really an acrobatics check. He's not gonna... I mean, he might overshoot it massively, but he'll get there eventually. He's pretty much out of the combat now. Okay, Felina probably wants to do another Whirling Death here. This would be ideal. The problem is now this is going to be -2, 4, 6, 8. She's got to roll an 8 or under. But we can use rerolls on this, so we'll see. Here we go, -8. Terrible failure. All right, let's reroll it. -8. Terrible failure. Reroll again. This is life or death now. Come on. Fuck! Okay, she fails. That's very bad because now it's all their turns. She's surrounded and she's got really nothing going on here. Harris has left her to her fate. He could make a portal for her to jump through, though, to get her onto the roof. That might be your best bet. Damn. I mean, to be fair, we had no clever plan here. We got surrounded and ambushed and tried to do a straight-up combat encounter. And we're not really built for that. Okay. Well, she's got to take the brunt of this. So... the big guy, +3. Miss. The little guy's all +2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 of them hits. Bringing her down to 12. And then the big guy in the back, shooting with a +1. Does hit for D4. 4 damage, of course. Guy's been on a fucking roll. Alright, she's at half health. This isn't looking good for her. New initiative. I think it's Felina's initiative. Okay. Harris, hearing her cry out in pain, he is going to use Fold Space to try to make a portal, you know, sort of within his line of sight. It's going to be pretty close to her. And he hopes that and he'll yell for her to get in. And he'll make the other portal, you know, on the rooftop next to him. Yeah, so Fold Space, and then roll our Arcane Lore with +1. Great success. So he makes the portal for her, and she is going to immediately jump through, but she's going to take 5 ops. Same rolls. So the big guy +3, miss. The little guys +2. That is 2 more hits, bringing her down to 6. But she does dive through the portal. And so now the question is, do any of the Twig Blights or anything follow her through the portal on their turn? Or are they too stupid to do so? Let's roll an intellect for them. I think their intellect's quite low. It probably says here. 4. Yeah, we're going to roll an intellect for the 5. So if any of them roll a 4 or under, they will follow her through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 of them do. Okay. we're gonna have the big guy and one little guy both follow through the portal before he can close it. Because it's an action to close it, so he couldn't do it immediately. Four intellect is not terrible. I mean, it's smarter than like a dog or something. So, and I feel like a dog would probably think to follow you through and just, keep walking and they're, keep following to attack you. So they're going to go through and they're going to attack. So he gets a +2 on this roll. Fail. The little guy gets a +1. He fails. And then it's a new round. Harris. Great success. He's just going to close the portal as his action. Can't do much else. And then Felina. She's going to just attack the big guy with her mace. 20 for 8 damage. Very much did. And then the little guy with disadvantage. Not quite. Okay. Little guy. It says they'll never flee or anything, so he's going to keep going. He's just +0 now. Miss. New initiative for Felina. Success. Barely, thanks for godlike initiative. She's going to swing again. Miss. Sword. Miss. And Harris will shoot his sling, I guess. Even though he has a chance to hit her. He has to get a 15 or higher on this slingshot. He did not. So now if he gets a 1 or a 2, didn't. Okay. This thing's going to attack her. Miss. New initiative. Failure. It's going to attack her. +0. Miss. She swings mace. Miss. She swings sword. Miss. He shoots sling. Miss. He does hit her. Well, he has to roll against her now, which is a 14 AC. He misses. New initiative. Felina, we'll get him. I mean, probably you could just say this thing dies, but damage does matter here. He rolls a 12, so he misses. She rolls her mace and finally kills it. Dead. And Radoth is in this house. So Radoth is hearing all this commotion on top of her roof and is probably wondering what the fuck is happening. But I don't think she's liable to go out and check. She's reasonably hospitable. She's adept at staying away from the ash zombies that overrun the village, as well as avoiding the area's mutated plants. She knows that dangerous spiders lurk in the ruins. Blah, blah, blah. She's concerned about the dragon. She warns the characters of all the threats, suggests they leave Thunder Tree before they're killed. Yeah, so she's in the house with reinforced doors and thick shutters, so she's very much keeping to herself. So unless something breaks in, like she's probably preparing for something to break in. And it says she can transform into a gray squirrel and scurry from the cottage to a crack in the wall. So she might be like about to do that or something, but mostly just confused. And now we're just going to be taking a short rest. So we killed most of it, to be honest. There's just 3 twig blights and 1 needle blight remaining. And I think they'll scurry back into the shadows then. So I'm definitely counting that as a pretty significant fight. I'm going to give us 2 XP. You do get 1 XP for retreating from a fight, and we technically did that, but we killed the majority of the enemies, so however you want to classify that. But now we're going to short rest. She got 1 success. Oh, God. I mean, she's hurt. She needs health back. She needs her flow back. She needs her rerolls back. It's not looking good for her. This is the situation where you'd go back to town and we'd probably go back to Neverwinter and just camp for a week and then come back here to keep going. I would say the most important thing for her is probably her health, though. So she'll go back to 11. And then Harris, he also got 1 success. He needs more than 1 health, so... Yeah, okay, so we're down to 1 fold space, 1 celestial alignment, no flow, no rerolls on Felina, and we're both like wounded. Yeah, that was our first encounter of the day. pretty rough. Alright, and now we have to climb down, which I think is basically just lowering ourselves off the roof. Shouldn't be that complicated. So we'll just go with it. I won't make a roll for that. We're careful enough. We're not in a hurry. Okay, so, Jesus. We're pretty wary of that building now, and we're honestly pretty wary of the whole ruins. But I don't know if we really want to run back to Neverwinter with our tail between our legs. Also, we have our donkey with us. So our donkey's probably just by the road here. We didn't, we don't take him into the house with us for no reason. So he's just grazing about here. I'm definitely going to forget about the donkey all the time. Even though his list is on my screen. So I guess we'll kind of skirt around here and go to the front door and, like, knock. And we're not going to shout or anything, but we'll kind of, like, just knock on the door and quietly say that, hey, you know, we were just on the roof fighting some horrible tree creatures. Is there anyone in there? I don't know how she would react, really. Let's roll a reaction roll. Just 2d6. 9. Okay, that's pretty positive. So I think we'll get a response from her, although she won't open the door yet. She'll just say, you know, that it's not safe here and we should just leave. And we're like, you know, you're probably fucking right, but we're here. You know, what else is here besides these twigs? And so she would mention the spiders in the ruins at the base of the hill. Good to know. The miscreants, people in black masks and cloaks skulking around on the eastern side of town. And there's a young green dragon that's moved into the tower. Ooh, boy. I mean, a young dragon, it's tricky. We'd pretty much want to come back with a handful of archers from Neverwinter to just, you know, gun it down. If I had to rely on my own abilities and means here, I don't think we'd want to try to use Gravity Pulse on it, because it's going to have pretty good strength. Tales of Argosa, we can go off of that. Uh, 20. Yeah, 20 fucking strength. So you'd be rolling, it would be rolling a luck check. So its luck is 11 plus, God, what is it, 20? 4. So it'd be rolling a 15 or under to succeed, to avoid that. So we'd only have a 25% chance of gravity pulsing it. Pretty unlikely. So more likely we'd want to make something really light, such as a big boulder or something, or a big slab of ruin that we could then throw at it and then make it heavy at the last moment to try to do a bunch of damage. Honestly, that would do what? Like maybe 4d6 if we do it all properly. And 4d6 is not an insane amount. That's going to average out to be 14 damage, which is... This thing is... Yeah, we can't go with that. We do the axe version, which would put it at 6 hit dice, which would be 27 or so. So we'd probably do about half its health with that one attack, which is not bad. If we could land a nice big mace hit on it, then it's possible. It'd have to be a pretty nice hit. But yeah, we don't have much plan other than that, unfortunately. So getting some archers, but we need money to hire these people to fucking take on a dragon. That's not a light request. We need more than 160 gold. So we're trying to get some money to get some people together to deal with this dragon. So she's not going to know about any treasure, and if she did know about treasure, she wouldn't really tell us or anything. Even if we make the case that we're trying to gather funds to hire people to wipe out the dragon. Because I think, you know, she wants the dragon gone. It just specifically says she wants to chase the dragon off. Which is an interesting way of putting it. But it does say that if they reduce it to 1/4 of its hit points, it will climb to the tower and fly off. So, you're not really, I guess, meant to kill it, although I think that is going to happen a lot of the time. Because players in a game like that can do a shit ton of damage very quickly, so 136 is not that much. And getting it down to 30 and getting it killed is a pretty thin margin. Anyways, I digress. In our game, yeah, if we manage to slam it in the face with a giant boulder like that, it might be scared enough by whatever can throw that, that it would actually flee. So it's possible that plan could work, but it's a hell of a plan. And I'd be relying on my one gravity pulse at the moment to try to pull it off. So, iffy. So, I think we'll be, there's not much she can really provide for us, unfortunately. We shouldn't serve us much purpose. Sad to say. She's not helping. She's no use. But we thank her for the heads up. That's about it. And then I guess we'll creep to the north here to number 2. These ruined side-by-side cottages look as though they might have been the homes of prosperous shopkeepers or well-off farmers in their time. All that remains are collapsed walls and piles of debris. Several young trees have grown within the ruins. Yeah, I would say we're pretty wary of this, considering that we just got attacked in a building that looks very similar to these by these fucking twig creatures. And of course, there are more, except this is way nicer because there's only 2 in here. And then one round later, the 2 from the first building come over. That's far more manageable than the 12 we fought right away with 2 needle blights. But we handled ourselves well. So I think we're going to now stealth in. Yeah, we're going to try to stealth our way in. And I don't think their perception score is especially high, but I don't know. It seems like I'd have to be really stealthy. You'd think you'd have to be really stealthy for these things not to notice you creeping around. But we are just going to send in Felina by herself. Harris does not have his spear, by the way. He threw it. Or he dropped it on the ground here. It's possible he dropped it on the outside. And I guess if I was DMing, I'd be nice and say he dropped it on the outside of the wall. So he'll gingerly go grab it real quick. Okay, so he's going to stealth here, and she's going to creep in and try and scope out to see if she sees any shit. Any shit. Yeah, okay. So she's going to roll her stealth, which is she's pretty high, 16 plus 1. There's a cat in my way, so I can't see. Get out of here. I need to see the number. I can't see. Success. Okay, good. So I need to know. Okay, she succeeded by a lot. 7. So now we're going to roll their perception, and honestly, I guess I give them a perception of like 11 or something. So they succeeded by 5. So she did cover the margin there, and they do not notice her. Does she notice them, though? We gave them a dex of 14 for the purpose of stealth. So, oof. Margin of 11. And this is her perception. She basically has to roll a 1. She did not. So she does not notice them. She's on the lookout, but, you know, they're fucking twigs amidst the undergrowth growing in the rubble here. So, yeah, they're stationary. It's very hard to spot. You can't blame her. But they also, you know, she's moving very stealthily in here. And so basically neither group notices the other, and it just looks clear. Which is not good. Because now she's going to stealth back out, and she says, you know, looks clear. So now they're just going to walk in. And now they're definitely going to notice. There's no stealth here anymore. I mean, they were still moving slowly and cautiously, but, you know, as far as she's concerned, it's clear. And then the twig blights are going to jump us. So now the surprise comes. Technically, we might still get a perception roll, but we'll play it as it's a surprise. She failed her perception check. They're very stealthy. So they're going to jump out. Remember, there's just the 2 of them. They're going to jump out at Felina. So they're going to get advantage on this roll with their +1. The first guy succeeds. The second guy also succeeds with a natural 19. Which is probably going to be like a D1 blade trauma or something. She takes 2 damage. I don't know. It doesn't have to be a trauma roll. It could be anything. It could be anything I can come up with as just like an additional effect. It's just trauma is always the easiest way to do it. But yeah, none of the blade trauma really makes much sense. So I'd probably just say she's like, man, maybe one of the conditions. Unless I want to say they, like, scrape her eye or something. Which seems kind of unlikely. I feel like the most likely thing is something to her legs. So I guess it's just like she's pinned or something. She can't move. Which could be grabbed, but I specifically want to impair her legs, like, more than that. Rather than doing an actual grab. So something with her being hindered, her mobility's hindered, but I don't think she's moving, so it's not really much. Same as if I'd made her prone, like she's just gonna stand up and attack, so it doesn't really matter. So whatever, it's not that big of a deal. She's gonna roll initiative though. She succeeds barely, thanks to her incredible initiative, and she's fucking pissed. So she's gonna swing her mace at this little bastard, and she misses. She's gonna swing her sword. She fumbles. It counterattacks. It hits. Fuck! She's not happy. Harris is going to yeah, he's gonna have his spear out, so he'll join her. And so now there's no +1 on either side. He's just gonna stab with his spear at this thing. Miss. Okay. That's all our turns. So now one's going to attack Felina. That is a hit for 1 more damage. And one's going to attack Harris. That is a miss. Okay, it's now a new round. So 2 more of the Twig Blights are going to show up. Like here. It's getting dicey again, man. We're having flashbacks. Initiative. Great success. Felina's still pissed. She's not having it. She fumbled and it hit again. Holy shit. This is abysmal rolling. We might actually have to flee. Harris will stab. He's gonna stand by her, but it's not looking good. Miss. Oh my god. Okay. It's moving in. So now they're surrounding Harris now. So the one on Felina +0 hits again. Oh my god, we're gonna retreat. I'm gonna fucking I can't do it. We are not built for this. Not with these rolls. Not with these rolls. Okay, against Harris, they all get +2. Okay, 1 hit for 1 damage. Okay, it's the start of the round. We're declaring a retreat. And we're just gonna run. They're slow, we know that. So we're just sprinting out of here. Technically, I don't even think I have to make it a retreat, because that's a luck roll. Literally, we could just start our turn and run. We'd risk ops, but... Or maybe I don't care about losing luck. We're definitely going back to Neverwinter and just spending a week at a nice inn. So, yeah, and we're just going to run. We're just going to run. So the party retreat rules. It's a group luck check. Besides any modifiers. It's just like, if I fail initiative for some reason, they all hit me, and then I run and we take ops, it is possible for Harris to die. Whereas if I just do a party retreat, I feel like it's not possible for me to die unless we fail the group luck roll. But the group luck roll is kind of likely. I do think that there would be a modifier because they are slow, so this seems very likely. And it's almost like I don't want to do the party retreat, but the thing is, the cost is you lose a luck point if you succeed. So I almost want to say, don't even worry about rolling, just deduct a luck point, and we'll call it fine. And I think that's probably fair. So we're just going to do that. We're going to go down a luck point, and we're gone. And that was our this was our foray into Thunder Tree. Fuck. I'm not good in this kind of situation. We're not built for this. We need more cleverness. But what am I gonna do? These things are just invisible until they're just on top of you and stabbing into you constantly. We need men. We need strong men to join us. I shouldn't have gotten a donkey. I should have gotten a fighter to just go with us. He would be cleaving left and right on these little bastards. So we're fucking booking it to Neverwinter, and we're done with this shit. So it's like noon, I think. It's like noon. We're gonna travel along the river now. So we, it's very... It's not as fast as the road, but it'll be fine. So, I don't know. We're gonna get to, like, here or something. I'm giving an XP for retreating. Probably should give a short rest. I mean, we're going to call that a significant combat. We didn't kill anything, but there were attack rolls. There were a lot of attack rolls thrown, and we took a lot of damage. So I'm counting it as significant. So I will allow a short rest for both. Not that it matters too much, but it does give us some HP in case something terrible happens. He double failed. I'll use a reroll. And yeah, I'll give him health back. Okay, so we entered a new hex. We got to roll a d20. 18. This is on the Borderlands table. So an 18 is going to be a valuable terrain encounter. It's probably going to be something we just skip over for now, but it is good to get in the habit of looking at these. And I really do think I got to pre-roll these if I'm going to use them when I'm DMing. Okay, we got a cache. Adventurers find a hidden stash of loot or other unguarded treasure. Roll for treasure as per the treasure type by terrain table. What? That's insane. Roll for treasure as per the treasure type by terrain table. Oh, treasure type here. So we're in a river. Well, are we in the river or are we just by the river? If I go to river... Yeah, I think that counts as being by the river. Yeah, because if you're going along the river, you're not going to get attacked by a black bear. So this is just by a river. It just includes the possibility of fish, but that's like, you know, the sea life is just a couple options here. So I think it's just by a river. So yeah, we're going with treasure type L. And that's exciting. We have the classic or heroic tables. Let's see. Tables are equivalent in terms of total value. They differ in two important ways. First difference is the composition of coin. On the classic table, low-level hoards consist mostly of common coin, CP and SP. High-level hoards consist mostly of precious coin, GP and PP. On the heroic table, all hoards consist mostly of common coin, with high-level hoards consisting of a lot of common coin with moderate amount of precious coin. Thus, treasure hoards generated using the heroic table are considerably larger in total bulk than those generated on the classic table. Okay. L is pretty far along here. We're looking at an average of 6,000 gold for being by the river. This was a good decision on our part. So do we want more bulk or less bulk? I think more bulk is probably more interesting in terms of we found all this loot. How are we going to carry it out? Okay, so let's roll on the heroic table, I suppose. So we have an 80% chance of 3d20 copper. So we're gonna roll this. 69, nice. So we get 3d20 copper pieces. Okay, 35. All right, 35 copper. 60% chance of silver. Yep, we got silver as well. So we have 4d6 silver pieces. 14 silver. 60% chance of gold. No gold, so just the copper and silver. Then we have a 50% chance... Oh, no, that was electrum. I'm sorry. 50% chance of gold. Nope, no gold or electrum. Then we have platinum. There's no platinum. Gems, 60% chance of gems. Yup. We have 1d6 gems. 6. Oh, the mother lode. 40% chance of jewelry. Nope. Just barely no jewelry. Then we have 80% chance of 2d8 common magic items. Yes. 11 common magic items. 60% chance of some uncommon. Yup. Which is 1d4. 2 uncommon magic items. 25% chance of a rare magic item. Oh, right on the money. One rare magic item. I'm so excited. 10% chance of a very rare. Nope. And 1% of a legendary. No. Okay. Well, it was very exciting, isn't it? I mean, the copper, silver is mostly just whatever. And like the actual currency, there's a scattering of some coins, but we see 6 gems. So, gem value. When gems are found, you can choose or roll for their value in gold pieces on the gem value table. You can determine one value for all the games in a treasure hoard. Typo. The average value of gems is 200 gold per gemstone. Treasure type table uses the most valuable gems to minimize the number of rolls on the gem subtable for judges who are randomizing each separately. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it just says gems, which is the middle tier. So we roll a D100. 72s, they're pretty valuable. Garnets, pearls, or spinel. So you find 6 pearls, worth 250 each. Oh, God, we're in the money, baby. Hey, this was all random. I didn't determine this. This was random. Okay, well, we're going to just pocket these pearls into one slot here. That's not going to the donkey. 250 GP each. 6. Oh, baby. Very good. And then we have the common and uncommon magic items. Again, this would all be pre-rolled and predetermined, and I think that's absolutely how it should be. Otherwise, there's a lot of a DM kind of rolling and looking at a book and rolling some more and blah, blah, blah. Not very interesting. I mean, they're very excited because they're getting treasure and you're doing a lot of rolls and it's like, oh my god, look what we found. But it's better if you just tell them what they found. Okay. So we need to roll types for our fucking 11 common magic items. Oh no, here we go. Okay, so it's mostly a lot of potions for common. It's also a lot of magic potions for uncommon. It isn't until you get to rare, which we did get one rare item, so I'm very excited. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of potions. A fuck ton of potions. We got 11 common items. And 2 uncommon. Okay, I guess let's just roll our 11. So this is D100, so I'm going to roll 8 and 3. Okay. Got a 1. So we got +1 ammunition for my sling, I guess. It doesn't specify, but it could be whatever. But it would be mean to give +1 arrows, so we'll give +1 sling. I mean, you can find a use for a +1 arrow. We're trying to hire a fighter. Be like, hey, look at this. Look at this shit we got. So fuck it. Let's make it +1 arrow. Oh, it's 1 +1 arrow. Yeah, it's just 1 +1 arrow. All right, it's not very valuable then. We got a... Oh, no, we got... So that's everything. 1 to 25 are all +1 arrows. So we got 2 of them. I'm going to have to start taking notes here. Hold on. 2 +1 arrows. Then we got a 62, which is a scroll of creature warding. A 32, which is potion of adjust self. Oil of sharpness. And 97 is a spell scroll 2 levels. We'll have to determine that. 36 is potion of cure light injury. Nice, nice. I always can use those. I forgot I actually had those. I guess Felina could have stuck around in combat for a while, just popping potions. And then a 91 is a spell scroll 1 level. Okay, so for these scrolls... I think we're probably just going to roll randomly on the arcane spell list. Yeah, I think so. Well, so it's not the level of the spell technically, because you can get a scroll that has 20 levels, and that just means that it has multiple spells that add up to 20 levels of spells. So you might have a 6, a 4, 3 3s, and a 1, and all on one scroll. So in our case, we have one that's definitely just a level 1, and then we have one that could be 1 level 2 or 2 level 1s. I don't really know how you determine that other than just deciding or rolling some sort of random dice roll. Or there's probably a roll here. Spell level by total spell levels remaining on scroll. Yep. So, Jesus. First, determine if it is an arcane or divine spell scroll with an even chance for each. Okay. So for the 1 level 1, 1, 2, 3 is divine. Okay, so it's arcane. Okay. Now, we wouldn't know all this, by the way, and that's what all this stuff is about identifying scrolls and blah, blah, blah. The apparent value of an unidentified scroll roll is 150 gold. Jesus. This is a fucking massive haul, by the way. We're getting a lot of XP for stumbling onto this. Which, hey, that is a recommendation for just wandering through the wilderness in search of adventure and treasures. You might stumble across a cache. It can happen to you. Roll on the spell level by total spell levels remaining of scroll table and determine the level of the spell it contains. Okay, so it has 1 left. Okay, so this one's pretty simple. We know it's arcane. We know it has 1 level 1 spell. So we can go here and we go to the spell list and repertoires. First level arcane spell, and we'll roll a D36. 30. So now we know that this is a scroll of slumber, which is pretty fucking good. I don't think either of us can use it. Yeah, I mean, obviously, can't really use it. But, yeah. Okay, so now the next one is the 2, and we need to roll a D6. So this one is divine. Okay, and then we're going to roll, so it has 2, so 1 to 50 here is a 1, otherwise it's 2. So it is 1 level 2 spell of divine make. So we're going to go here, 2nd level divine, it's a D30 roll. We got a 6, and that is circling winds. Done. That's all it takes. So technically, we would have no idea of that. All we know is that it's unidentified, and the apparent value of that is 150 gold. So if we wanted to go to someone that was willing to buy an unidentified spell scroll, sight unseen or something, 150 each. Or, I guess... Yeah, I think that's how it works. And technically, I think in Axe, you don't get the XP for something like that until you sell it. Because it could be worth a lot more if you identify it, and you probably do want to identify a spell scroll. Unless you're just trying to shift a ton of loot and you don't care or something, but that seems very un-RPG-like. So... like a scroll of creature warding. Base cost 500 gold. So this thing that we got right here is worth 500 gold. If we knew what it was. And we probably see that, yeah, all over the potions. So the potion of adjust self is probably on here. It might not be. No, I guess not. Unidentified potions have an apparent value of 25 gold, unless otherwise noted. Comparable to a vial of holy water. So, yeah, I mean, we can just slap 25 gold on that until we know some other value. The oil of sharpness... It's all going to be 25 gold. This is all unidentified potion. We just find a collection of stuff. So really, these are 150 until we hear otherwise. So I'll just put I'll just put 150 there. As for the +1 arrows, that's a good question. I'm sure, I guarantee that value is listed somewhere, but God only knows. The apparent value of a single magic arrow, bolt, or other projectile is likewise at least 32.5 gold. Okay. Alright. That was just the common magic items, though. We still have to roll for our 2 uncommon and our rare. So for our uncommon, we got 2 D100s. We got 46 and a 4. So we got a potion of lightless vision. And a armor +1. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. Okay, so we gotta scroll all the way down to where we get to armor. Apparent value of any magic armor or shield is 650 gold plus the base cost of the armor or shield unless detailed otherwise. Okay, so +1 armor, 650 gold. That's assuming we recognize that it is magical, which, granted, is not a given. It doesn't really talk about how to determine the type of armor. And I assume that's just up to you to decide, or we could make up a random roll. We go here to equipment. For armor. So basically we use padded leather, scale, chain, banded plate, plate. So we have a 6. So I'm just going to roll a d6, except we also can include shields. So it's technically a d7. Yeah, I guess we'll do d7, which is very rough in person. But just d8 and ignore the 8. Okay, so d7, we got a 6. That does mean that we are looking at magical plate armor, which is especially obnoxious because that takes up fucking 6 slots. Neither of us can even carry it, really. And the donkey can't... The donkey would have to... We have to shift some stuff around. But, yeah, this thing certainly is pretty valuable. Fuck. So we can definitely leave stuff, because we can just afford to buy new stuff. So, +1 plate armor. And then finally is our rare item. The most exciting thing of all. Rare items. Okay, we get one of these. D100. 65. It is a spell scroll. 18 levels of spells. Now again, until we get that identified, it might as well be a 1 level 1 spell. And it's worth 150 gold. So 18 levels. I'm just going to put 150 gold. Because I'm not going to roll for all the spells yet. Doesn't really matter. I mean, it probably will matter. We will want to get this identified. I just have to figure out the logistics of doing that in Neverwinter. I assume we can just pay some sage to do so. It definitely goes over how to identify stuff here. So the potions, if a character has alchemy proficiency, they can just take 10 minutes and a successful alchemy proficiency throw to figure out the type of potion. So we could just take all the potions to an alchemist, and these are all pretty common, so I would imagine he kind of just knows, has seen what they are, you know, at a glance. But a scroll... That's a lot trickier, actually. You have to have 5 caster levels or lore mastery proficiency to identify any magic item by conducting magic research. Which is kind of time consuming. But I don't... Scrolls are different, I thought. Scrolls you can just read. Scrolls are often found written in dead or esoteric languages. You can choose each scroll's language or roll on scroll language table below to decide. Okay, so we'd have to roll for their language. Which honestly has a pretty good chance of being Common, Draconic, Dwarven, or Elven. So most likely it is a legible language. So we could just bypass that. But if I was actually DMing, I would definitely roll. Because it could be very interesting if it is in a dead tongue. But we're going to Neverwinter. We'll be able to find a wizard that can speak Common, Draconic, Dwarven, Elven, or probably either of those other tongues. Really. I mean, we can find somebody, so... yeah, I don't think the scrolls are too big. And then, yeah, but then it's a question of selling this shit. That's a whole other ball game. Who do you sell all this stuff to? And they have availability for magic items by market class and by magic type. So, I'm pretty sure Neverwinter counts as a class 1. So, there's buyers and sellers of all magic items in a class 1 place. Yeah, it's probably better to use that top table that's based on the price of the item. But, like, yeah. Class 1, there's going to be 6 buyers, or 7 buyers for, like, plate armor. Okay, so it's just a question then of getting the plate armor back. So I guess we're going to ditch... Let's ditch things that aren't that valuable. We'll ditch the... For now, you know, we're going to buy it again as soon as we get to town. So I'm hesitant to even remove this because we'll just... Yeah, I mean, we'll just buy it back again. But we need to make 3 slots here. So we'll ditch the rope, the torches, and the oil flasks. And then we have enough space. And we'll just rebuy that for like a gold. Or something. It's something like that. So I'll just deduct a gold. There is the silver amount, I think, that we could grab, which was like, what? 11 or something? I don't remember. It was 14? It was 14 silver. There you go. Done. Okay, so now we will grab plate armor +1. And this is going to take up 6 slots. And we'll just leave it there. We're going to sell it as soon as we get back. Okay, that was a pretty good haul. Okay. So XP for all that. That's a question. I mean, some DMs are just going to base it off the most valuable thing you found, which is that spell scroll. But, so really they'd give you like 3 XP. But I tend to give a lot more XP, and that is a pretty big haul, all things considered. We got a lot of potions, which are, if you find them all individually, those are each 2 XP. So this has got to be pretty significant, I think. That's like 3 potions, 4 potions, 4 scrolls. Sorry. 4 potions, 4 scrolls, and +1 plate armor is all pretty significant. So I'd probably say, God, it seems like such a windfall, but I'd say like 8 XP or something. Because again, think if you found all these things individually. That'd be 2 XP for a potion, 2 XP for a scroll, 2 XP for a potion. Like, if you found it all, if someone scattered it across a field or something, like, it's all significant XP. So I think I gotta be pretty generous here and say 8. I originally said 10. I was like, nah, that seems a bit too much. It is a crazy amount of luck. And it just so happens we're near a river, so it's a more valuable thing. But yeah, it's possible. And that will not happen on the OSC encounter table. So thank you, Axe. I really appreciate it. Oh, there's also our problem of carrying all the rest of the shit. But it's not really much that's... Assuming we went by, like, stones. You know, all these things are basically like 1/6 of a stone. So, but between the two of us, we can basically carry all these potions and scrolls and stuff. I'm not gonna add any of this because we're probably gonna be selling practically all of it. So, yeah, it's fine. We have enough, barely. We had to ditch some stuff, but we can carry this back to town. Good. Okay, well, we ended on a very, very positive note then after the disaster in Thunder Tree. Who would have thought? Yeah, I'm probably going to use the axe encounter tables going forward then. I think this is a lot of fun. And I'm not just saying that because something very good happened to me. Because something very bad could have equally have happened. But I think I have to, like... I'm going to have to print off all the sheets. Because this is too much to reference in a PDF constantly. I really want to buy a physical copy of all these axe books, but they're just not in print yet. Supposedly they are going to be after some Kickstarter is all fulfilled. Of course. But yes, as soon as it's available, I will be buying some hefty-ass physical copies of the rulebook, the Judge's Journal, and the Monstrous Manual. And it will be good, because Axe is pretty fantastic. And yet I still never really want to play Axe. Yeah. Alright, well, we're going to leave it off there then. Next time we'll get to Neverwinter. We'll do a bunch of shopping, selling, buying, all the things. We'll buy some men. We should be able to afford a decent troop of soldiers. We're going to come back to Thunder Tree and fucking raze it to the ground. We're going to slay the dragon. We're going to harvest its gallbladder and make some sort of potion out of it. I don't know what. And then we're going to find out about Cragmaw Castle and go fucking raze that to the ground too. Probably not all that in the next video, but it'll be fun. My name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging with the Shattered Obelisk, Tales of Argosa. I'll see you fine folks in the next part.